Welcome to the Strong for Life podcast. I'm your host, Conor O'Shea, and I really appreciate you tuning in. If you are enjoying these episodes, I'd really appreciate you taking a moment and rating it 5 stars on Spotify or on Apple or whatever podcast platform you use. This is going to allow more people to find this information. Without further ado, let's jump into today's show. All right, folks, I'm super excited to share today's guest. I've got my client, Robin. Myself and Robin have been working together for a little over 6 months now, and he's gotten some fantastic results in the program. So I wanted to get him on, share his experience, and get you guys all up to speed about what has helped him get the results that he has gotten over the last few months. So, Robin, really appreciate you taking time out of your busy day. Do you want to share more about your situation, who you are, where you're based in the world?
Yeah, thanks, Connor. Good to be here. It's a bit of a surreal experience. I'm normally listening to the podcast. Here I am, a guest on one. I'm slightly nervous. What if I say something that doesn't make sense and all your millions of listeners kind of send down the wrong path? But I live in northwest London. I'm in my kind of early 50s, and I've had some good success with this program. And I have to say, if anyone's wondering, how do I get those results, or is it just that maybe Robin's a kind of a really fit person naturally? I'm just a normal guy. I live a very kind of normal lifestyle. I live here with my family, and we are not like extreme hikers or fitness fanatics or anything. So I'm kind of just like anyone else.
Yeah, mate. And let's maybe share about what position were you in, like kind of this time last year up to the end of last year. You joined the program like end of last year. Do you want to share what was going on then, and maybe what was motivating you to look for some coaching?
Just to give a little bit of background, wouldn't say I was kind of super fit, but I wasn't coming from a position where I'd been super overweight my whole life or anything like that. I generally do something, and I've been working on some of the GMB fitness programs. I've been doing karate for a few years now, so I've got that going on in the background. So I wasn't in the overweight category, but I was not an athlete by any stretch of what happened at the start of lockdown. All of the organized stuff that you did together in groups like karate, all of that just kind of went away. All of the time that I would normally spend walking in my commute into the office, all of those steps just kind of went away. And I was very aware at the beginning of lockdown that a healthy immune system was definitely going to be a good thing. And probably for the first 6 weeks or so, I was really hyper vigilant about being healthy. I was kind of up and down the garden. I was kind of really making sure I was eating healthily. And then the penny dropped that this wasn't going to finish anytime soon. So that slipped into kind of pretty bad habits. Very shortly after that realization. And I was doing enough that I thought I was being healthy, but it was not nearly active enough. So what I was doing was enough to make me think I was being healthy in terms of my fitness programs. I was doing my kind of workouts at home, maybe 2-3 days a week, and I was eating what I thought was healthy food, but I wasn't really. I'd kind of confused that with being able to eat unlimited amounts of those foods. And a couple of years later, I was definitely much rounder and much softer than I had been. So that's the position I was in when we started working together.
Yeah, if they ended the lockdowns after like 3 or 6 months, I think everyone would have been flying because everyone had that hell kick. And then everyone was like, oh, screw this. Gonna get some wine.
Yeah, it definitely
Awesome, mate.
felt like
So
that for me.
for sure. So like you're coming out, we've come out of lockdown, and then it's the end of last year. You've seen like, okay, wow, like a lot's changed in the last 2 years. I've gained weight. I'm in a position now that things just kind of accumulate, right? After kind of doing different things over 2 years that you were or stopped doing things that you were doing before, like your martial arts and more activity levels. So before you were thinking about joining the program, maybe when we first were speaking about it, like what sort of things were you skeptical about or maybe unsure of with an online program?
There were a couple of things in general. So I was kind of skeptical about the progress I could make in any program. Hit my 50s, and you just hear it time after time that age takes its toll. This is just a natural part of life, and you are going to put on weight, and you are not going to be fit. So I didn't believe I was kind of doomed to a kind of life of illness and obesity, but I had real kind of doubts about how much of that I could overcome. And it wasn't so much online, because I've been using the GMB programs. They're good programs, but I didn't really have a huge amount of confidence about how much difference having an individual kind of personal trainer or fitness coach would make, because in my mind I was kind of doing all this good stuff already. So I didn't really know that it was going to make a big difference. But I'd got to a point where my mobility was definitely not where it was going to be. Didn't think I could make huge amounts of progress in weight loss and getting stronger, but I thought I could improve my mobility, and this seemed like my kind of last best chance to do something that would make a difference. So took the chance and thought, see where this leads.
Yeah, for sure, mate. And that's good to hear as well. Like, especially, I think a lot of it is, oh, a lot of the narrative is like, oh, you're 50 now. So, you've had a good run. Now it's time to just stop, But as you've well, I think we'll just bring it up now. Like Robin basically put up a video, was it the end of last week, and 11 chin-ups?
Yeah. I got to 11. I was pretty maxed out on rep 11, and if you'd asked me at the beginning of the program how many I might get to, I probably would have said, well, if I work really hard and I do pull-ups and nothing but pull-ups, I'll probably get to 8. And moving from 8 to 10, that's kind of a big deal. And I probably would say that when I was my 8 at the that I might have envisaged at the start of the program would not have been like a really proper full extension at 8. So I'm really kind of trying to work the full extension now, and that makes such a difference as well.
Yeah, and I think that's like, I'm going to post it on social media as well, because people often say, yeah, I can do 10 chin-ups or whatever, and it's like, you didn't even do one. That was like 10 1/8 rep chin-ups. Robin's were full length, so full dead hang, pulling all the way up, chest all the way up. So proper chin-ups, which for in your 50s, there's not a lot of people in their 50s doing 11 of those chin-ups as well. I didn't actually say that to you before, but like it's a very true point. So awesome progress there, mate. So let's talk about some breakthroughs that you've had in the program. You wanted to share like kind of three of your big breakthroughs to date.
Yeah, one thing I was really resistant to for many, many years, and I had heard a number of people talk about this because I'm pretty into the health and wellness space, and that was food tracking. And I'd heard so many people talk about the benefits of that, and I was in a position where I felt I was eating healthy food, so really I didn't see a huge amount of benefit in tracking. And to be fair, I don't eat that differently from the way I did before. So it was not that I was eating a lot of unhealthy food. We weren't, gorging on takeaways and pizza and all of that stuff. But I just didn't realize how much I was eating. And when I started tracking, it really gave me a clear sense of just how many calories I was putting on my plate in terms of the carb share of my plate. Typically for us that would be rice or potatoes of some kind, and I've probably halved, maybe more than halved, what I'm putting on my plate now. And I'd got into the habit of going out, get a kind of nice bar of 90% dark chocolate. Obviously that's really healthy, we all know that, and that kind of went from having one or two squares of that to the whole bar, and that went to doing that once or twice a week to kind of doing that most days. And again, this is not horribly unhealthy food, but it was way too much, way too often. So now I'm basically looking at about half a baked potato. It's about 100 grams or about 100 grams of rice. And it seemed really small when I first put that on my plate. That seemed like a really small portion. But then when I started eating the meal, that was plenty. It was absolutely enough. So understanding how much I was putting on my plate in which form of nutrition made a really big difference to me. And it did go from an understanding of these foods are relatively healthy to they are, but do not eat unlimited amounts of them. So that was definitely something that's made a huge difference for me.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen that with your other clients, or if that's something that you see a lot. People, is it mostly people who are going from unhealthy food to healthy food, or do you see a lot of people just going to excess on relatively healthy foods? Maybe it's a mixture of both.
Yeah, a mixture of both, I think. But I think the biggest thing is you just hit the nail on the head there is this, you built more awareness about what was actually happening, because there's nothing more frustrating than you think you're doing all the right things, and you kind of were from a nutrition standpoint, but it was just too much of the things at certain times. And it's easy for something like the 90% dark chocolate, you always hear have 2 squares a night, that's fine. But then, that turns into one block, which is like 500-600 calories. And then all of a sudden, if you're on whatever 2,000 calories a day, that's 25% of your daily calories gone already with just that. So that's a really good point, mate, around the food tracking. Do you want to share maybe one or two others? I know we're talking about your sleep as well.
Yeah, so we'll hit that one first. Sleep's a big one for me, and again, I was really, really aware of the importance of sleep. I was not sleeping, nearly as well as I wanted to, or for nearly as long as I wanted to. And I'd kind of get a bit frustrated because I would, wake up in the night, and I'd wake up kind of early-ish in the morning quite often, and I didn't ever really want to go to bed, early. So I could easily be staying up till midnight. Kind of, that would be a pretty common time for me to go to bed. Or maybe later on a kind of Friday, Saturday night, even during the week sometimes, I'd feel I'm wide awake. I just kind of, I'll stay up and I'm kind of relaxing. It's nice quiet time, and I'd go to bed. So I'd be getting 5 hours sleep, maybe 4 hours sleep some nights, and this was not a good place to be. And one of the things that we talk about in your program, and what I like about your program is it's not just the fitness, kind of blocks that you put together. It's all of the things that go into it. It's sleep, nutrition, mindset. There's just so much more to it. And what I found was when I start to go to bed earlier, would you believe it? I was actually able to fall asleep. So that made a huge difference. I'd still like to sleep more, but it's massively improved. And probably one of the other things that's played into better sleep was just taking a bit of a break from alcohol. And again, I've been I love my wine, like my spirits, and I probably have been drinking several nights a week, every week for decades. And I would notice that when I'd had an evening where I've had a few glasses of wine, even just like 1 or 2 glasses of wine, definitely disrupted my sleep. But I just didn't really feel ready to give that up. And actually, after being in your program for a little bit, and I think you talked about taking a break from alcohol as well. I just thought, I'll give it a try this weekend. It's Friday night. Instead of having a couple of glasses of wine, I'll do my workout tonight, and then it's maybe I might have finished. So I tend to do my workouts in the evening. Maybe finish 9:30 if I have a late start, and I could have had a glass of wine then, but you know what? I didn't really need to have a glass of wine at that point. It's like, I can just go to bed tonight. I'll leave the wine till tomorrow, and then, well, if I could do it on Friday, maybe I can do it Saturday as well. And then I just kind of took it from there and thought, well, if I could manage it on the weekend. So, I've hit Wednesday. So Tuesday or Wednesday, I might go to karate on Tuesday. Like, I've done my workout. That was a really good karate session. I've earned my glass of wine. So I just tried to have in mind, well, I could manage without it on the Friday. Let's just try it. Just for now, I'll give it a miss. And that was kind of my mindset. I just changed it. I didn't want to say I'm not drinking, because that really felt like a too big a thing. So I just said to myself, I'm not drinking for now. Maybe I have a drink on Friday next week. Maybe I have a drink tomorrow. I'm not drinking for now. And having done a couple of Friday and Saturdays, the realization just kind of sunk in. I can go through the weekend without having a glass of wine or something. So why not do it again this week? And that's definitely contributed to sleeping better, and it's cut out a bunch of unnecessary calories. And alcohol's a toxin, so has an impact on kind of brain function and a lot of stuff that goes on in your gut, your immune system, all of that. So I do feel healthier for it. I'd probably still say I have not given up alcohol. It's just I haven't had any for about kind of 4 or 5 months, and I'm just sticking with that for now.
That's awesome, man. I love the way you walk through that as well. It's a really nice approach of like not extreme. You're just like kind of testing it every week, and now all of a sudden it's 4 or 5 months in, and you know you might drink again next weekend, but it's working your current approach. Well, I love the way you walk through that. I think that'll be really helpful for people listening as well. Sometimes it can be very like, I'm never doing this thing again, or I need to stop this thing completely. Whereas I think the approach that Robin just outlined is a nice way to go about if it's something that you want to take out of your diet. Let's talk about specific results, mate. So if you want to maybe talk about body compositions, I know we talked about your chin ups and your strength, but yeah, anything you want to share from a results standpoint?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen some pretty good results. So back in early January, so I think I started around about kind of November. So it's quite you know, relatively good for a few weeks, and then we hit kind of December, yeah, Christmas, New Year, all of that. So I'd lost a bit of weight, put on a bit of muscle, and then over a couple of weeks for Christmas and New Year, I put all of that back on. So I was kind of in the same starting position that I had been, and that's probably the time when I said to myself, I've just got to take this seriously now. Yeah, I was doing it before, but I wasn't fully committed. So yeah, I just kind of went, I'm going all in. I'm doing this, and yeah, back then, I was, at a yeah, much kind of higher body fat than I wanted to be. So that's about 19 weeks ago now. I've lost about 21 pounds since then. Yeah, my body fat composition. My body composition was at about just under 18% body fat, according to my probably somewhat inaccurate and generous scales in the bathroom. Yeah, you stand on them. They've got these little kind of metal discs, and they theoretically send a pulse through your body, and it kind of measures, muscle, body fat, as well as weight, that kind of stuff. I don't think they're super accurate, but I think they're pretty consistent. So I went from 17.9% body fat to now it's showing, as of Sunday, 12.6. So
Wow.
yeah, that's a big drop now. As unreliable as they are, I can definitely see that they when I look in the mirror, when I try on the jeans that I didn't used to be able to fit into, but I can get into comfortably now. The results on those scales are kind of close enough in terms of the change. So regardless of the absolute numbers, I think they're reflecting a realistic change in what I'm seeing in the mirror.
Yeah, mate, that's fantastic. Like, so 21 pounds dropped, 18 to 12.6. So basically like 5.5% body fat. So I mean, and you've built muscle mass and strength. I think that's a really important thing. So like if you think about from a like a longevity standpoint in your 50s, you've dropped that weight. That's going to be mostly kind of abdominal belly fat as well, the kind of negative from a,
Definitely.
heart health standpoint. And you've gotten stronger and you've built muscle. So that's huge, mate. Like from a strength standpoint, do you want to share any changes there?
Yeah, and I think it's worth saying that it's pretty well understood in the scientific community that having a higher amount of strength and muscle tone is really, really protective against the effects of aging. So to increase some muscle mass was definitely one of the things I wanted to do. Wasn't really sure the extent to which I'll be able to do that, and also an increase in bone mass. And my fancy scales at least make an attempt to measure bone mass, and it's not easy to increase your bone mass, but I have seen a small increase in that. So again, you don't want to be in a position where you fall over, and you break something. That is one, going to put a massive dent in your training and your progress. And as you get even older, that's something that is likely to lead to real kind of problems. And in terms of my results, yeah, we talked about the kind of pull-ups. So I've seen real kind of progress in what I can do there. You know, I'm able to kind of walk up the stairs, you know, when I'm, you know, either in a building or on the tubes. I'll, you know, walk up the escalators. You know, I can do that much more comfortably. Or, you know, I can do sets of push-ups, and you know, I'll be totally fine with you know, kind of a moderate amount of push-ups, and I can see the changes, and I can feel the changes. And when I'm doing things like, sometimes I teach the karate classes, you know, I take the students through a bit of fitness, and it's good to be able to show them as a middle-aged guy at the front, you know, I can still compete with the people in front of me.
Yeah, that's awesome, mate. And like, do you see, like, from a maybe a personal standpoint, like how have these results impacted you personally, and then also how do you maybe see them impacting you in the future as well from a personal standpoint?
I'd probably say I was at a bit of a low point before starting this program. um, yeah, I really didn't feel good about how I looked. I didn't feel good about myself. You know, I was, yeah, fatter than I'd ever been in my life. I was less fit than I'd ever been in my life. Um, and yeah, I found that kind of depressing. So yeah, now I'm at a point where I'm not where I want to be. There's more progress that I want to make. Um, but I feel so much better about myself, and I feel so much more confident that I can make progress.
Yeah, that's huge. In particular, with what you're saying as well about just the narrative, like as you know, 50s and beyond, it's like it's not always encouraging to make changes or that you can control changes with your body. That's fantastic, mate. And yeah, I'm glad that you're feeling much better. And I also appreciate you sharing that. Um, Last question, Robin, would be who would you recommend the program for, and maybe who mightn't be a good option for this type of program?
I'm Yeah, I'm struggling to commit. So I'm struggling to think of someone who this would not be appropriate for. Yeah, I really think that the approach you take is as effective as it is, because it's not just, you know, a fitness program that you're putting together. Yeah, you do look at all of the kind of mental and psychological aspects of what's going on, why we react the way we do. Yeah, what are our kind of stress points? Yeah, what are our triggers for, you know, unhealthy habits? What what are the good habits and the steps that we can make to improve those? So this program isn't just for someone who, you know, wants to, you know, be an athlete or get stronger or has a, you know, a physical target. It's for anyone who wants to be a kind of better physical and mental version of themselves.
Amazing. That's great to hear, mate. And yeah, it's been awesome working with you today. It's also super exciting to see where things are going for you, especially after the chin ups. And yeah, just really appreciate you jumping on and sharing your story, mate.
It's been a real pleasure going through the program with you. I've seen uh, massive amounts more improvement than I had, you know, even thought possible at the beginning. So yeah, I want to take a moment to say thank you. Really appreciate what you're doing for me in particular, and for the, you know, rest of the community out there. So yeah, thanks, Connor. Really appreciate it.
Awesome, mate.